Logan's Paulsy and Lisa. Good morning. Logan's Paulsy and Lisa. Good morning. D3V GRB. Hi there. Stephen, good morning. Holly, hello. Huh, can't hear anything. Don't understand that. Now what? No volume. Really low. Huh. Well, let's see. Let's pull up. Set up. Audio. Default. Oh no. Testing, testing. It looks like it's working. Speaker default test. Says it's working. I should be all right here. Logan, good
How you
morning.
doing, Fish?
How are you?
Feeling a lot better.
Well, that's good.
I
How's
got
your
it.
fish doing? What's
I
up?
lost one of my geophagus.
Oh my.
Had a Popeye and an internal parasite.
Oh dear. Wow. What kind was it?
Cernamensis.
Cernamensis. I might have some. I don't remember.
Yeah. Also, the baby angelfish fry and the 40-gallon breeder.
Yeah.
They're doing amazing.
Oh, great.
Out of the 11 that I got out of the first batch of eggs, 8 survived. So that's not doing too bad.
Well, that's not bad at all. That's great.
And they laid another batch of eggs, and they're all wrigglers already. And I'm like, I need more tanks.
Huh.
But I set up a 20. I set up a 20 long,
Yes,
and that's going to be my live bearer tank.
wonderful. That's a great. Oh, excuse me. That's a great size tank. I have a bunch of those in my shop. They're my top planted tanks.
Yeah. And I'm going to be ordering some plants on your Get Gills too, so I can add more plants like dwarf sage and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course. Okay, we can do that.
So I can have plenty of plants for like the baby. Because I'm thinking either endlers or guppies. I'm thinking more leaning towards endlers.
Cool.
And the endlers should do pretty fine in our hard water, correct?
Oh yeah, they'll be fine. You bet. Yeah,
'Cause
I've got them in my atrium pond, which is real hard water with a lot of waste in it from the birds, so they can tolerate quite a lot.
So I see you had some fun with Danikin and all them.
Oh, they were great. They
Putting
were
them to work.
We had such a good time. Yeah, and Ed's been bragging on it ever since. He was on with Kaler last night,
Yeah.
going on and on and on about it. Yeah, they had a good time. I had a wonderful time. It was so good having them. They drove for nearly 12 hours to get here, so it was quite a chore for them to even make the trip because it was such a long drive.
Yeah. Morning, Chubs. Yeah, the one. So what I'm planning on doing is once the angelfish fry that I have that are hatched already and growing, once they get big enough, I'll put them in the 125 and then do that. Once they get big enough not to get eaten.
Yeah, well, that'll grow them up good too. That'll get them going.
What, the 125?
Yep. Yep.
And good thing
Gnarly here. Hi, Gnarly. Laurie J Dog. Paul C J Dog. Yes. Yes, I do red tail cats. I have people looking for them all the time. I can't keep them in stock. Little ones, not big ones. Little ones.
you
And
still
then
have
when
that.
they get big, I take them back.
You still got that
What?
other dragon goby, or did someone buy it already?
I've got one left. I do have one. And he's
Because
pretty cool. He's like a foot long or better.
what size was the one that I got from you?
Same size as the one I've got. It's about 14 inches probably.
Yeah, he just hides by the sponge filter and eats when food comes his way.
Yeah, they don't move around much.
But they're a cool oddball, though.
They are a cool oddball. And I do love my oddballs.
Yeah, don't you have like a big old Bisher that's like this big around?
I do. Yeah, he's in the 500 with a couple of red tails and a bunch of Oscars. I think there's one lone jaguar in there, kind of a small one. He's only about 8 inches.
You still got that peacock bass in that large tank?
I do. He's well over a foot long. He's in real good shape. He's really pretty.
Yeah, because when I was there, he was a little bit. I guess he was a rescue that you got.
Yeah, he was kind of skinny, but he's beefed right up and doing really well. He's in with the big 3-foot red tail. So, I worry about those guys sometimes, but they seem to be able to stay out of the way. Good morning, Patrick Paulson, Tisha, Color Guppies, Chubbs, J. Rowe. Who else is here? Gnarly, Lori, Paul C. Cassie B. Holly, J. D3B, Roman, Gnarly, Loganz. I'm repeating myself, I'm sure. Holly Gibbs. It's quite a crew. Father Fish is here. Who else is here? Uh, Steven is here.
Yeah, I got a question. Is moneywort? You know what I'm talking about, right? The moneywort plant.
Yeah, sure.
Do they spread? Do they like branch out and spread, kind of like jungle val, or not really?
They don't like jungle fowl. No, they don't grow that way.
They don't send
They're
out
a
runners.
stem, they're a stem plant. They don't do runners.
All
They're a
right.
stem plant. The stem just keeps growing. It's a stem plant. So they may branch out on the stem, but
Yeah.
all of the stem plants grow long.
I actually have a
It's a
Nubius that's doing really well. It's attached to a piece of driftwood in the center part of the tank.
Cool.
I mean, it's a good looking Anubias.
Cool.
Sadly, I have to get rid of one of my dogs because they're fighting over territory now.
Oh no.
Yep. But
Have you can get them fixed, huh?
one of them is fixed, the other one is not.
Well, maybe that's what you ought to do.
Yeah, I can try that.
That would probably resolve the issue.
Oh yeah, that Trophius you gave me is getting bigger already.
Oh, nice.
He's about
Arms,
this big now.
right? Cool. They get about 4 to 5 inches. Pretty
Think
thick.
about- because Pet Supplies Plus is having $1 per gallon sale right now.
Oh, here's Cassie B. Says she has a piece of moneywort that has 3 stems from the base. It's grown 2 more next to the main one. So hers is branching out. It is a stem plant, though. It's not a crown plant. So it grows in a different way.
So like
Tommy Denda, good morning.
dwarf sage is one of those ones that spread out, correct?
Yeah, that's a crown plant.
So
Right.
dwarf sage and don't they have spiral?
All the
what is it?
Vallisneria,
Yeah.
the Sagittarius, swords, all of the swords.
Amazons and
Sure.
do you carry Amazon swords as well?
I got plenty. I got a lot of them. I
Yeah, I'll
have
get-
plenty. That's something I always have.
I'll
Billy
get-
Dog, morning.
I'll get Amazons and jungle or not jungle val, but Sagittarius dwarf sage from you.
Cool.
And what I did with the 20-gallon long, I mean, I could put a layer of sand on top of the gravel, but the gravel itself is already like 2 inches deep.
Well, you want 3 to 4 inches, so I would go ahead and do that. That will also allow that gravel to start becoming anaerobic, which will provide nutrition for your plants.
Yeah.
So yeah, add an inch of sand, or even
I got-
2 inches.
I
You
got
want to put enough in because it's gonna sift down into the gravel, and you
Yeah.
want at least an inch, preferably 2 inches above the level of the gravel.
yeah, I have right now. I have 25 pounds of gravel in the 20 long.
No, all right. Yeah, add sand to it.
Yeah, I just gotta wait for the money to come in so I can get more sand.
Well, you can go out and dig up sand. You can use wild sand.
Wild Florida sand, it doesn't affect the pH.
No, it's perfect.
Really?
Not a problem. Yep.
Huh. Like I can go in my backyard and dig up sand.
Well, you want to rinse it out first.
Yeah, I know. Rinse it out
Be-
first.
You're going to be putting it into the water. So it might be a struggle to get it rinsed out, but yeah. Thank you, Paul C. Sandbell. Admit to sand. I hope nobody had earphones on. I understand that's really loud.
You're actually streaming earlier than usual today. Usually you go on at like 9.
I've been, for the last couple of days, I've been doing 8 to 10. And I think I'm going to do that routinely. Do 2 hours in the morning. We run out of time consistently at 1 hour. So doing it this way gets us a little more flexibility and make it a lot more fun. So long as I can hold up doing it. Well, thank you for coming on, Loganz. Appreciate it.
I haven't seen you in a while.
I know. You need to come up.
My friend that was supposed to buy the tank, he's like, I don't need a fish tank anymore. I'm like, are you serious? You got 3 fancy goldfish in a 10-gallon tank, and they're going to die.
Right. Put it to them, really.
The water quality is horrible.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
Like it looks like
probably doesn't care about them. Probably doesn't care about them.
He said he's more of a reptile guy, and it's kind of weird. I think my black marble is a black marble veil tail because he has long veils coming out the end of his tail.
Jay Rose talking about getting rid of moles. He's got moles in his yard. You need a mink. A mink will get rid of them. Or what's that other little critter? You need a mole killer.
Or get a Catahoula cur. He'll try to chase it down and eat it.
Yeah, really. Actually, a bunch of animals that would do it, aren't they?
Yeah, my Catahoula cur, he eats. Or he tries to hunt anything down that he can. Rabbits, squirrels, butterflies.
Right.
Anything he sees. He tries to eat the neighbor's rabbits all the time.
We're sad. Oh, let me let you go, Loganz. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, yeah.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Come on up and visit.
Oh, yeah, I will. For sure.
Hey, see you soon. Take care of that dog.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All right. Don't get rid of him. Take care of him.
I will.
All right. Take care. Thank you for coming on. Mark Honer, J. Rowe, took care of 100-acre property. The only thing that really worked was snap traps. Yeah, that was kind of my experience with rats, too. Although I got a new product that's a poison that's really not poisonous. Let me show this to you. Rat X. Oh, this stuff is amazing. It's not poisonous. It has, see if I can find the ingredients here. It kills pet rodents. Here it is. It's got corn gluten and sodium chloride. Maltodextrin, sorbitol, wheat flour, and wheat germ oil. And that's it. 55% corn gluten, 2% sodium chloride. It desiccates rats. I got rid of a colony of rats with it. It's amazing stuff. Not poisonous. Tommy Denda. Hello, Tommy. Billy Dog. Okay, I'm back to Jay's question about rodents. Bacopa Monterey, Cassie B. Good morning, Cassie B. dwarf sage. Dwarf sage is such a neat plant. I've got it in a 40 breeder as well. That tank started out with some what in the world was it? Pupfish in it. And they spawned. I had no plants. And then somehow a piece of dwarf sage got in there. And it's been set up now 2 years, I guess. About 2 years. And the dwarf sage has taken over the tank. Looks great and is doing really well. It's a deep sand bed tank. Yeah, Jay, it looks really good in the tank. And it's nice for small fish. Let's see, Marky, 0306. Good morning, Marky. Tommy Dender is going to pick my brains today. A ferret, yes, exactly. Ferrets. Thank you, Petraman. That's what I was trying to think of. J. Rhodes said a fisher. Well, that too. Do you feed your discus beefheart? I used to. Anymore, I feed them blackworm if I have it, and I'm supposed to pick up 10 pounds of blackworm today. I'm going to make a call and see if that's still on. And then I got to try to figure out how to keep it alive. That's going to be the real trick. That will make it a long day because I've got to drive an hour one way to get it and then an hour back. That'll be this evening. So I'm going to be putting that stuff in all kind of containers late this evening. I also feed, what do I feed? I feed ground chicken. I like ground chicken. That's kind of become my preferred animal meat. I don't do beef heart anymore. I do ground chicken. It's a more appropriate kind of meat. I like the beef heart. One of the things I found with the beef heart is that it fouls very easily. The chicken doesn't foul quite so easily. It's somehow more closely related to fish, I guess. And the fish seem to eat it more quickly, and it doesn't. Well, I guess it doesn't have the blood is the main thing. Beef heart has a lot of blood in it, and it's really not possible to overcome that. You can't really squeeze it out very well. Rat mummies. That's exactly right, Joe. Creates rat mummies. And as a result, there's no odor when they die. There's very little odor. Normally, if a rat dies from poison in a building, you smell it for a month. They desiccate, and so there's very little odor. Desiccated rats, love it. Hi, Bill Witt. Good morning to you. Cassie B took a picture of the money wart. What? Mark Honert. We got fake worms with poison in them costly and really have to watch touching pets by pets or kids. Oof, sounds uniquely nasty. Yeah, it's a pretty tank, Stephen. I've got Ellisoma in it now. I think Everglade. The species thing has gotten past me. Um, we've there are apparently some subspecies or crosses or something. I don't know what it is, but there's something happening with the Ellisoma down here in Southwest Florida. We're getting variations that nobody seems to be able to really tag. Oh, he's talking about worms that are poisoned for for his vermin. Interesting. Let some moles eat, so I guess that would work, wouldn't it? Um, Mark Honert says living next to the woods is a challenge. Indeed, it is. I live right next to a wood. Tommy Denda reading a bit about how they did saltwater tanks in 1864. This is the book Tommy discovered, which one of these days I'm going to get around to putting on online, and it'll be great fun. But he found a chapter on saltwater. Apparently, they used dirt um, and darkened all the sides with slate except the front. And it was harder to keep. Um, yeah, I don't know why they darkened it. I guess to try to create a sheltered kind of environment for what they were catching, which is probably getting things in tide pools, which would have been more maybe invertebrates or little guys that live in holes, something. So they wanted a more sheltered, protected kind of feel. That's that's interesting. Saltwater is no more difficult than freshwater. It takes longer, and you got to be a bit more careful with it, more attentive perhaps. But in the long run, it's really no more difficult, and will balance out and stabilize just like freshwater does. I have a friend who has 4,000 gallons of salt water. He does a little bit of dosing, but really not very much. He raises coral and has a huge selection of coral, but his tanks are all natural tanks. They're deep sandbed tanks. And by deep, I mean minimum 6 inches. He does he does water changes. He does routine water changes. So that's different. And he doses with lime in order to get the carbonates up and keep them up because his coral are pulling carbonates out of the water at a rapid rate. So he has to dose for that. Other than that, his tanks are natural, stable tanks that he does very little else with. He's been he's a very friendly guy. Brian Green, for any of you who know him in the area, is who I'm talking about. He has a grandson who's born with a dreadful skin condition where his skin just sloughs off. So he spends all of his spare time and a lot of his prime time taking care of the baby. his daughter has moved into their home, and her husband with the baby, so that the grandparents can also provide care. Now, Brian's a physical therapist, so he has a kind of a medical background and just developed protocols to help this baby. They have to do bandages every day, sometimes several times a day, and the skin just sloughs off. The baby is now 2 years old, so they've been at this for a while. And it will get a little better. Won't get a lot better. It'll get a little better. But it's taken time away from its fish. So his fish are kind of like with chicken. With COVID, they're not entertaining anyone because of the child, with the child getting sick. So I haven't seen him in a long time. Probably been a year since I've seen them. And I need to call and see how they're doing. But anyway, one of these days, we'll get over and visit Brian when the world gets back to normal. Will blackworms live in the sand in the aquarium? Petroland, yes, they will. And they do quite well. And the fish love them, especially cory cats, which dig for them. The worms do not go down deep. They keep their heads up above the water, and you can see them kind of waving in the water with their tails down in the sand, and then they'll dart down when something comes near them. So they don't last real long, typically. Excuse me. But yeah, you can certainly do that. Oh, Jay Rose next to woods with a stream in his backyard. Me too, Jay. That's so cool. No. Do you need to change water more often in the saltwater tank, even though you don't have corals? No, you really don't. It's kind of the same issue. You're tracking a little differently, and nitrates are more important to control nitrates. The problem with coral is that it depletes the water of carbonates, which can have significant effect on the water. So it's important to continue to dose for carbonates. Some sea anemones. Sea anemones aren't going to deplete the water. They're really not a chemical. They're a filter feeder, but they're looking for organic, whereas the algae living in the coral is looking more for inorganic material. Manaj, good morning, Manaj. Mark Honert also used blackworms for discus. Friends tell me I'm asking for trouble. I never had issues. They are thinking about redworms, which haven't been around for 20 years. Redworms used to bring, at least the theory was, that they brought disease on the water. I don't think that happened so much, as they were probably overfed and fouled the water. The blackworms are hardier. They hold up a lot better. So you can keep them. Now, having said that, I'm a past master at killing off vast quantities of blackworms. And I'm going to try it again because I'm determined to make this happen. So this time, I'm going to keep them in smaller quantities and try to set up some kind of a water flow through system for some. In addition to which, my game plan is to move out as much of it as I can as quickly as I can. But mainly, I'm going to be rinsing them off. Excuse me, rinsing them off as soon as they get in. Stephen, really depends on what the load is on the tank. My nano saltwater is on the same time schedule as my freshwater nanos. Yeah, that's really exactly it. If your bio load is not in overkill, then you have no more trouble with saltwater than freshwater. Um, I think saltwater will foul quicker than freshwater, I believe. I think if you got dead stuff in it, there's a better chance of it depleting, of the bacteria just kind of exploding than in freshwater. But maybe not. I mean, that's really a function of nitrifying bacteria. So if you got a adequate nitrifying bacteria culture going, it should be able to pretty well handle everything. Let me get over here. Stephen, I can understand using chicken with this and some larger predators, but I always go by the principle if they won't build a resistance to it in nature, then I won't introduce them to it. If somebody doesn't know how to properly feed, you can get yourself in trouble if it's left in there. Agreed. There was some research a year or two ago in the Amazon, which was studying the impact of birds dying in the water in the rivers, and they discovered that birds became a primary source of food for many fish. So it is something that occurs in nature, and presumably there's enough of a buildup, an enzyme buildup in the fish's gut to be able to thoroughly digest, to the extent that fish thoroughly digest anything. Bird. I agree, Cassidy. We need to get Stephen on here. Somebody who doesn't know how to properly feed gets yourself in trouble if it's left there to rot. Fundamental. That's fundamentally critical, Stephen. And that's what causes 99% of the problems people have with their fish tanks. Overfeeding, putting more food in there than the fish can eat and that the biology can handle. It rots, creates bacterial problems. You just that's the source of nearly every problem I run into. I've taken to telling people to set up their tanks with plants, deep substrate, and no food. If they have a lot of little fish, no food. The fish will eat the algae and the plants, whatever little microorganisms, and they'll do just fine. And it works. It works a lot better. It's a lot healthier than having some 3-year-old kid come along and dump a can of food in the tank. Ground chicken, okay for saltwater. Paul C., I would not do it. I would do fish, clams, shrimp. Shrimp's especially good. Any kind of seafood. It's just a little closer and a little safer. I wouldn't put chicken in the saltwater tank. Blake's Aquatix. Hi there, looking suave. Oh, thank you. Good to see you, Blake. Steven, do you want to come up? Let me post a link here. Copy. Post. Get it? Got it. Tommy Dendo, will fish eat small critters in the dirt in a saltwater tank as well in a freshwater tank? Yeah, absolutely. I'm able to maintain mandarin gobies in my tanks without ever feeding them. There's enough copepod culture in those tanks that they're able to find adequate food and survive long term. So yeah, absolutely. Depends on the species where it comes from. Yeah, that makes sense. Going back, I think I've covered stuff back here. Where to get blackworms, how to keep and feed them. Well, it's a bit of a problem. You can buy them online. I have a friend who sells them. It's an expensive way to buy them. You need a local pet shop that's willing to carry them, and not all of them are. They're a bit of a bother to keep. And they tend, if you don't give them adequate care, they tend not to hold up. So I'm about to blow another couple of $100 on blackworms here. They're probably not going to survive. Tommy Denda. Oh, load would be fish excrement. Yeah, basically that's right. The bio load. Well, the bio load is all of the life in the tank is the bio load. It's the total biological activity in the tank, which includes everything. I mean, it includes waste, it includes microorganisms, includes fish, plants, everything is bio load. Now, that doesn't mean you restrict bio load. What it means is that you keep it in balance. The best way in a freshwater tank to keep bio load in balance is to keep the plant life up. The more plants you have, the more fish you can have. If your tank is so thick with plants you can't see through it, you can put more fish in because it'll balance better. You'll be able to maintain that. The bio load is simply the total, or biomass is simply the total biological activity. Doesn't speak to the relationship of all of those living, all that life, the living critters. And the relationship really is significant then. Let's see. Yeah, Steven's talking about bioload. Exactly, and you know the thing is, I've done I've done a number of videos on this food thing. The issue is not whether the fish are eating the food. That's really not relevant. You can put a bunch of food in there, and the fish eat every bit of it. That's not the end of the story. Fish have a very small alimentary canal. Their food goes through and gets processed very quickly and comes out the other end with most of it undigested. So now you've got a load of undigested food laying in the bottom of the tank, creating a worse problem than you had to begin with. So other fish pick it up and eat it. Microorganisms attack it. It does get dealt with unless there's too much of it. And if there's too much of it, it begins to spoil. It rots, it deteriorates. Bacteria attack it. They break it down. Bacteria flourish, and they can literally take over the biology of the system and destroy that. What they do initially is create sickness. So you'll notice the fish are languishing. They're not being active and busy. They're droopy. They're shimmying, maybe. They're under attack by excess bacteria in the tank. Eventually, the bacteria can begin depleting the tank of oxygen, in which case the fish go to the top. They begin struggling for air. That's all a function of overfeeding. Don't feed your fish with a goal of satisfying them. You cannot satisfy a fish. If a fish is healthy, it's hungry. If it's not hungry, it is probably sick. 2 hours is all the time it takes for a little tiny fish to process whatever it has in its gut. 2 hours and it's in and out. That means it's hungry again. It's hungry all the time. Don't try to satisfy it. You'll create an unbelievable mess. Lee's not here now, but he tells the story of not feeding his fish. Now he feeds his frogs because they can't feed on plants and they can't find enough little microorganisms to survive. So he gives them food, but all of his other fish are tiny fish that feed on algae and microorganisms. And they find enough food in his tank to keep themselves going, to satisfy themselves, and to be healthy. So here's the principle. A balanced tank provides food for its occupants. It's a cycle. The cycle is not broken. The cycle becomes firmer and more stable and more solid as the tank ages. So it really does provide adequate food for its fish and for its plants, for its living organisms and its microorganisms. There's the process of the cycle of life in the tank provides nutrition for every level in that cycle. Every point in that cycle is providing food for the next point, if you will. But it's all feeding itself and it's all living off of itself in effect. So you really, as a tank gets older, you feed less and less and less, not more and more and more. Tommy Denda, will fish eat small critters in the dirt in the saltwater tank? We did that. I got Snacks 13, best advice I ever heard. Stephen, hungry fish is a happy fish. It's absolutely right. A hungry fish is a happy fish. J-Dog, what did J-Dog say? 250 attacks on website yesterday at Father Fish. All were blocked. Wow. Far out. You guys are good. I tell you what. Wow. How did you find that out, J-Dog? Pretty impressive. Minaj. Stephen, talking to Tommy. What depends on the species? Oh yeah, he's talking to you, Stephen, about that. It's a good question, and that was a uniquely astute response, Stephen. I had not thought of that, but it instantly clicked. There are certain species that simply are not going to have the gut load to be able to deal with certain kinds of food. Stephen, a scheduled appearance wouldn't be an issue. I'm still in the bed. I work night shift, so I ain't ready to see all this still half asleep. Oh, I don't know. But thank you for being here. We so appreciate your being here, Stephen. J-Dog. Wow, that's really amazing. Yeah, I made a comment yesterday about having 50 mods and the effect of 50 mods on a stream, and I guess that's real. There are mods who on here who hang back, don't really participate a lot, but look at every single thing that's going on and nail it consistently. And you know who I'm talking about, don't you? Minaj, I'm planning to make a 2 foot by 2 foot by 3 foot paludarium, about 50 gallons of water, 3 by 2 by 2, 6, 2, 12, 8. That's 100 gallons. 2 by 2 by 3 is 2 by 2 by 4 is 125. 2 by 2 by 3 is 100 gallons. 3 times 2 is 6, that 2 is 12, times 8 is 96. Just under 100 gallons, according to my rough measurements. Oh, deep substrate with 2 inches sand cover, would sponge filter be okay? It'll be perfect. I would put the largest sponge filter in you can find. It's gonna do more and last longer between cleanings. In fact, you may even consider putting 2 in. You basically have a 3 by 2 by 2. That's a great size tank. That's going to be wonderful fun. Paludarium. I've got, I have one just like that. It's about 3 by 2 by 2 paludarium with a little bit of water in the bottom. Has frogs and turtles in it and some nice plants growing. Stephen is agreeing to come on with us when he is in a better shape. Let's see. We went back. We're catching up now. Kay Powell's planted tanks. Oh, hi, Roxanne. Nice to see you. Good to have you with us. Hope you're working on your song. I am so excited about that. Really, everybody's going to fall in love with it. Uh, Speaking of which, let me stop here a minute because I want to go in. I need to find it now. I want to go in and play Cassie V's song. And I need to take a 2-minute break. So there's Lee. Here we go. He comes on in the morning every day. And some soil covered with sand. Then at hand, he will help you do it the right way. And some fish will walk away. Feed them high quality food. Not food is better. Keep it good. Keep it on that you roll. Now on my way back to other places. Wow. Oh, Lord. Oh, back. Mercy. May as well watch just a little bit, huh? Pretty better, though. All right. Let's talk about what you can do here to deal with this. Let's see. Cassie B, if we find we have cloudy water from overfeeding, what should we do? Cloudy water from overfeeding, what do you do? Well, there are a couple of things you can do. You can do nothing. You can leave it. It will clear up. And in process, it'll generate more biomass in effect to take care of it. In other words, it'll build up more microorganisms. It'll do more nitrification. It will clear up by itself. So the question is then, how bad is it? If it's sufficiently cloudy that the fish are gasping for air, then you need to take some rather immediate steps. And that means primarily, essentially, doing a water change, getting a bunch of that excess food out. If you use a very fine mesh net or a siphon and siphon off any mulm or waste or whatever is laying on the bottom, that'll go a long way toward clearing it up. Siphoning it out also allows you to do a water change while you're at it. So you're going to be replacing that water with new water. So siphoning out the source of the problem is a key way to do that. If it's larger, more particulate matter, you can use a net, kind of swirl it back and forth, catch it in the net, get rid of a lot of it that way. Generally, mulm, that is the kind of mulm that gathers at the bottom of the tank, is typically not excess food. It typically is plant life that is deteriorating, and that is never a negative other than an aesthetic one. I mean, I suppose it can get deep enough to become a problem. But generally speaking, if you've got mulm in the bottom, you have a good, rich microorganism culture in all that mulm that's chewing away at the deteriorating plants, eating them up and then driving that waste from the microorganisms down into the substrate. A good way to get rid of that, I use mulm on the surface as a signal that my substrate is not deep enough. So when I see mulm, I add an inch of sand. Because what has happened is the mulm has sifted down into the sand and it's kind of filled it up. It's come to the surface and is overflowing. So adding an inch of sand will allow it to go back down in, and it'll keep working its way through. It just takes a long time for that to happen. The long time issue is, I think, kind of interesting. I've run into a number of people who are serious hobbyists who know their way around maintaining fish tanks, who claim that the substrate really cannot take care of waste because it takes so long for it to work its way down into the lower depths of the substrate. So what they're saying is that they want a much more biologically active system. They want to be able to feed more, have more animals, have the whole system functioning at a higher level, a higher rate. These are typically the CO2 people. They want rapid plant growth. They want to kind of rev up the engines and move it along. And they're right. The deep sand bed system can't take care of that kind of load at the same rate that they would like it to. So they have to do cleaning. They have to get out the mold. They have to add nutrients because they're not getting the natural nutrients. They're working their way through the soil. It can take 6 months to a year for nutrients to work their way through a deep sand bed all the way to the bottom to be converted and to be taken back up by the plants. It's a long-term process. So when you've got a tank like that, you really need to sit back and take your time at it and let it be. Let it be. We need Roxanne's song here. Let it be. Leave it alone and let it work. Don't try to overkill. Don't try to press it. Don't try to force things. Unless that's your game. And there are plenty of people, and it's people who are going for a look. They're going for an aesthetic. There are people who are involved in competition. Who's oh, they are somebody on the phone here. Let's see who this is. Father Fish. Hello. I have a doctor's appointment coming up. I do actually. What's today? Wednesday, I think. Oh, lost track of where I was. Anyway, the people who don't like the deep sand bed are people who are not trying to achieve what the deep sand bed achieves. They're going for a different kind of experience, a different proposition, a different kind of aquarium. And typically, they are creating an aesthetic that is not intended to last a year. It's intended to last 3 to 6 months, 9 months to a year, and then be torn down and something else constructed. All of the big fancy super duper tanks you see that win all kinds of contests, you're seeing the pictures of them. And that's what the tanks are created for, to take pictures of them. Those tanks, virtually every single one that you see a picture of, no longer exists. There are a few exceptions. Amano created some exceptions. He created some tanks that were long-term systems. The system in Spain is a case in point. Although that was to be torn down in a year, they've kept it going. More, I think, in tribute to him than for anything else. But it is magnificent and requires constant maintenance because it is such a massive enterprise. Nevertheless, I think the point's well taken that if you're doing this father fish system, you're trying to create something that will have immense stability, that will last 10 years or more. Not something that's going to be pretty and you're going to like it for a while and it'll fit your decor, and a year down the road you want something totally different, so you tear it out and do another. Those are totally different approaches, totally different kinds of systems, and cannot be done in the same way. Enough of that. Okay, Powell's. Don't really understand pH. Just know if it's stable, it's okay. The more biology, the more confused. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, Powell. I'm with you. You want to chime in on this, Stephen? pH. The level of pH is a function of the carbonate hardness of the water. Water that's very, very soft with very little carbonate hardness. And what is carbonate hardness? Carbonates. I really need help here. Stephen, I need help. Carbonates maintain pH. At a high enough level, they'll stabilize it. At a higher level, they'll increase it. At a lower level, pH decreases. So the level of carbonates in the water determine the relative pH. How do you do carbonates? Well, there are a couple of ways you can do it. Lime has carbonate. You can add lime to the water. Not a lot, mind you. Don't go nuts. Little bit of lime. You can have baking soda. Baking soda increases carbonates. What else can you do? You can add calcium to the water. You can put something in the water that that dissolves, like oyster shell. That increases carbonates. Anything that's going to release, let's call it, for the sake of discussion, calcium. Because most calcium contains carbonates. Because calcium is carbonates. Anything that adds or increases calcium in the water is going to stabilize or increase pH. What's the effect of that on the fish? Well, it varies. And it varies depending on a number of different things. Probably the most significant is the effect it has on the, looking for the right word here, the pressure. And I don't want to say barometric pressure because it's not in the air, it's in the water. The carbonated water, if you will, is heavier than RO water, non-carbonated water. It's heavier, and as a result, it has more of a compressive quality, such that, and here's the significance of that. If you have a fish in 8.0 water, just to take an extreme, you take it out of there and you put it in 6.0 water. What happens to the fish? Well, 9 times out of 10, it dies. And why does it die? It dies because the pressure of the water on the cell structure of the fish is suddenly less than the pressure of the liquid inside the cell of the fish. And so the cell expands in order to balance itself out to the pressure of the water outside it. And that can happen in the case of moving the fish from 8.0 to 6.0. That can happen rather quickly, and it can have a virtually instantaneous negative effect. The cell wall will begin to rip and tear. It'll get so thin that it'll bleed out, and the fish will die. It'll kill it. A slow and gradual process allows the fish to naturally change the osmotic, that's the word I wanted, the osmotic pressure of the inside the cell to equal the pressure outside the cell. So you do a slow change. And by slow, I don't mean 15 minutes to half an hour. I mean 2 to 3 days. To do that properly takes days. Now, let's go back. Let's say you just get a tank full of fish in, or a bag full of fish. You test the water, it's 7.0, 6.5. Your tanks are set up for 7.5, maybe even 8.0. What do? And the water, let me add to this, the water in the tank is, the water in the bag is foul. So you got to get them out of there. You can't leave them in. What do? Let's see if we got some answers here. I'm going to drop to the bottom. My word, I'm way behind here. Kenny D is here. Hi, Kenny D. Ah, K Pals gave up on us. Tommy Denda saying, recommend a good biology book, Stephen. Aaron Price, setting up a fishery with multi-tier system with a sump. Aaron Price, no. We'll get to this in a minute. All right, nobody's really interested in this apparently, so I'm going to run through it quick. What do you do when you've got fish that come in salt acid water, in rotten salt acid water, and all you've got is tanks set up with hard alkaline water? What do? You take the fish out of the bag and you put them in the tank. Going from acid to alkaline will not harm the fish, at least not substantially. It will put pressure, external pressure on the cell, which will compress it in. It'll balance out much more quickly. Won't do the reverse. It's not going to cause it to explode the way doing the opposite would do. So not an issue. If you need to go in the other direction, add something to the water. Get the pH up. Add baking soda. If you like anything else, just get the pH up. I want to go back to Aaron Price's question about setting up a fish room with the multi-tier system. Take a look at the system I've got posted on my channel, Aaron. Get into a lot of these systems about how to handle an autofill system with multi-tanks and using sumps. If the level of the water in the sump is higher than the level of the water in the tank, then obviously you cannot siphon water from the tank to the sump. So long as the level of the water in the tank is higher than the level of the water in the sump, then you can siphon it, even if it's only an inch or two. Now, that means only an inch or two can be siphoned, can be moved, but you can do that. You can create a cycling system, albeit a slow one, and you want to slow it anyway. You don't want anything that's moving water at a rapid clip out of the tank and into the sump. So long as that tank is sitting at least a few inches above the level of the water in the sump, then you can run it on the system, and it'll work just fine. Yeah, it's what you got to do. You go for it. Aquatic conquest. That's really what I'm saying here. Slowly adding water doesn't really accomplish anything because you can't do it slow enough. If the fish has come in and it's in hard alkaline water and your tanks are all soft acid water, then you've got a problem because you're not going to be able to acclimate that fish in 15 minutes to an hour in order to be able to save it. You're going to have to get it in hard alkaline water. So you have no choice there. You've got to get a tank set up with hard alkaline water. You can gradually, over a lengthy period of time, move that from hard alkaline to soft acid if that's what you're trying to achieve. And do not assume that because a fish's natural environment is soft acid water, even though it's come in a bag full of hard alkaline water, that you can throw it in a soft acid water tank. You cannot. It will kill the fish. You'll see it bleeding out all around the edges of the fin. I mean, the root of the fins. It'll get blood red. It'll bleed to death. You will kill it. Guaranteed you will kill the fish. Don't do that. If you want your fish to be in acid water, and they are currently in hard alkaline water, set a time schedule up for at least 2 weeks to move that 1/2 of a degree a day. 1/2 of 1 degree a day if you want to get it down low. What, 1/2 a degree a day, the fish will survive it. It'll adapt to it. You do another half the next day. You do it slowly, you do it gradually, and you'll save your fish. I once sold amazing fish, spectacular angels, to a woman. They were in hard alkaline water. They came off of Florida farms. She got them. She tested the water. She was aghast. She said, "Oh no, they're in hard alkaline water. They can't survive that." She dumped them all into her soft acid water tanks. Every single fish died. Over 50 of them, worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. She killed everyone. She called me several times a day. "Why are my fish dying?" I told her, I had the breeders call her and tell her. I had farmers call her and tell her. She wouldn't listen. They belong in soft acid water, was all she had to say. She killed every one of them. Hard heads don't keep fish alive very long. It doesn't work. You got to be flexible. You got to think. You got to do what's right and not what you think is what's right. Sorry for blowing that up. Lee says Sue and I are bloody interested. All right. Kenny D. I got snacks. Where are we? Steven, I think I missed something here. I'm listening to Father Fish and don't know what's not been answered. That's my problem all the time, Stephen. I I am constantly running into that issue. And then I try to track it back and never find the source. Bill Witt had to go. He's got a busy day. Lee Wilcox, we love you, Sheriff Roxanne. Cannot wait for your song after you and I teased with the work in progress. Pressure for fish and plenty for you. Color guppies have a friend who raises plecos at a pH of 6.0. My water is above 8.5. Well, color guppies. I would do a slow acclimation, moving the plecos into your alkaline water. And by slow, I mean a day. You can move fish out of 6.0 and put them in 8.5, and it's not going to hurt them. They will adapt to that pretty quickly. I wouldn't do it. I mean, you can do it. I would not do it. I would just not feel right doing it. I would move them from 6.0 to 6.5 in a day, 7.0 in a day, 7.5 to 8.0. So 2 days, 3 to 4 days tops. Do it, move it up 5 points, 0.5, I should say. Move it up 0.5 a day. If you're going down 0.1 a day, I don't know what I said before. I may have misspoken. 0.1 a day if you're going from alkaline to acid. 0.5 a day if you're going from acid to alkaline. Oh. Aquatic Conquest wants to know if anyone has grown Lobelia cardinalis. Pretty plant, nice plant. I've always got it. It does well for me. J-Dog, I don't have anything to add, so I'm just listening. Ah, color guppy's done. Oh, Cassie B, we're listening. We just don't have an answer. Thank you. I appreciate that. J-Dog, I think we're all interested. Just have a case of the Mondays. Yeah, me too. I'm a little, I don't know. Am I cranky? Am I coming across as cranky? I probably am. I don't feel cranky, but I don't always know how I feel. Kenny D. All right, I think I got back. All right. Yeah, Aaron, I'm real interested in knowing how you're setting up your fish room with a multi-tier system with a sump. Take a look at my layout. I've got an autofill system that works pretty well. It may not work for you. It's not for everybody, but it is one that we developed over a period of time, and it's pretty effective. And I'd be happy to give you some more advice on that if you're stuck at all. Abolished farms. Have you looked into Korean natural farming techniques? Fermented plant or fruit juice in low doses be good food for a planted aquarium. It surely would. Hi, Betsy. Good morning. Well, it's what you're doing is you're adding organic substance, which is only a bad thing if you put too much in. So it's not a bad thing. Holly Gibbs lives in Missouri. Salt helps with osmotic pressure. Yes, it does. Let's see. Stephen, here we go. You just couldn't type. I walked away. pH is hydrogen ions concentration. I can go further in detail or just tell you, don't chase pH. Keep it stable, and it's good to use buffers. And it looked like he continued, but I'm not finding a continuation. Keep an eye on pH. That's the only thing I ever really test for is pH. pH can drop, and it can drop precipitously. In which case you need to do water changes, which is what I do, because my water is hard as a rock. It's kind of liquid rock. Or add carbonates. Aquarium Cop just sent us a 99-cent super sticker. Thank you, Aquarium Cop. It's very kind of you. Do appreciate it. Soft water, 0.1 per day. To get down to soft water. Yes, Rohan. Rohan, I'm confused how to acclimatize the soft water. 0.1 a day. Drop it 0.1 a day. If you're using if you're trying to get a tank to go down, you can add peat moss, softwood, driftwood, what else? Let's just talk about those. They will not work instantly. They will work gradually. They will gradually lower the pH. So that's a perfect way to do this. Add peat moss to the tank. It's a little messy. If you use the uncut moss, it looks better, I think. Doesn't create the moldy kind of mess. You can put it in a bag, like a silk bag, and put it in your filter or lay it in the bottom so you don't get quite the detritus in the tank. And it'll do it more slowly and gradually. So that's a good way to achieve, to get the pH lower. You can add chemicals. I do not recommend adding chemicals to adjust pH. It is impossible to do it in a really controlled fashion unless you're measuring by the grain. I mean, you can't do it with a teaspoon or just pouring some in your pan. It just doesn't work. You're going to mess up. And the difficulty is, next time you do a water change, you're not going to be able to maintain it. The peat moss system works pretty well. If you really want low pH, put peat moss in and bring it down. Some of you may have some other suggestions about how to do that gradually and slowly. Thank you very much again, Aquarium Cop, for your super sticker. We do appreciate you and have been missing you for a few days. Glad to see you back. Aaron was going to buy metal stands. Each shelf holds 2,000 pounds, but the bottom shell is near the floor. May have to do 2-tier instead of 3. Yeah, you can set this. You can set the stand on something. Set it on like 4x4 leg blocks to get it up maybe a foot. That's pretty stable. If you cut some 4x4s a foot long and put the legs on that, if you're worried about it, you can bracket it to the wall to hold it stable. That'll get it up higher and will allow you to use that bottom shelf. Aquarium Cop. I lived in Florida 4 years in 92. I learned mosquito fish look like a guppy. However, they'll kill and destroy a community fish tank. They bite gills and are not friendly. You got that right, Aquarium Cop. They are mean little buggers. Gambusia. 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 I call them dambusia. They're a nasty little bugger. I use them as feeders. I feed them to bigger fish, although I've seen them escape and go after big fish. These little tiny suckers like that, killing a fish a foot long. Not one of them, a gang of them. They are wolves. They attack in packs. Terrible fish. James, you got a bunch of them. Be careful with those suckers. You will rue the day. Pebbling Creek, Get Gill Store. Aquarium Cop is just popped us another 99 cents. God bless you, Aquarium Cop. You are a joy. Thank you so much. Cassie B, if your KH is high, you may be unable to change your pH. That's the buffering capacity that lets you maintain a stable pH. Really good point. Really good point, Cassie B. You're absolutely right about that. If you've got really hard water, you may not be able to get it down very easily without doing something to soften the water. That means adding RO water to it, which can be purchased at a store. Distilled water is the same thing. You may need to do some water changes with RO distilled water or rainwater. You can always catch rainwater and do rainwater as a water change in order to get your pH down. That has a lower KH, a lower carbonate capacity. So that'll allow you to do the same thing. Millions and Sons. I'm interested in keeping some of those pygmy sunfish. Know of anyone who's tried working with them to see what variation might pop out for a delightful surprise? No, and nobody's really done it. We think there are some variations that are beginning to show up, but there are other biologists who are saying, they don't crossbreed. So I don't know. I've caught a few that don't look like they're supposed to look. And I've got them mixed in tanks, but I've also caught separate species in the same water. So it's up for grabs. Um, but they certainly are delightful little fish. They're pretty easy to breed. You need a good microculture to be able to do it. The babies are microscopic and require the tiniest paramecium to be able to feed and grow. You've got to have that occurring naturally in the tank. You're not going to catch them and pull them out. Well, Aquarium Cop just popped us another 99-cent super sticker. I think he's having fun. Driftwood will lower pH gradually. Thank you, Paul C. Stephen is going to comment on this. And he says, and has that not been answered? There are no magic wands, no magic solutions. It's a process. And it's been said what to add that'll soften water several times now. Peat moss, driftwood, using demineralized water. And demineralized, of course, is RO water, spring water, rainwater, distilled water, any water that has no minerals in it. Color guppies, high KH helps pH from falling is the missing word. Correct. Aquarium cop, mosquito fish can drop the biggest angel fish in a tank. They look cute, but they destroy a huge fish. They do indeed. Color guppies, oh yes, the higher KH reduces the potential for pH drastic changes. Absolutely correct. Can aquarium salt harden the water? Aquarium salt hardens the water. It does not necessarily drive the pH up. It depends on the carbonate level in the salt. If it's pure sodium chloride, it will not increase pH. I don't believe. Aquatic Conquest. So by the time I've added it to the tank, it's only at 7.4, and over time you can get it to what you want. But I didn't weigh the amount I used, but may do that as another experience. Million, what I did was add stagnant to 1 part and 4 parts tap from a pH of 7.5, took it to 7.0 in the bucket, which is a big jump, but my tank holds 55 gallons. So what period of time was that, Aquatic Conquest? Here's Aquarium Cop's third super sticker. You are a joy. Let's see, let me post the link here in case there's anybody who's chomping at the bit to jump in here. I'll give you a crack at it. Cassie B. Stephen, I think Father Fish just answered that driftwood, peat moss, chemicals are not a reliable means. Adding RO water or distilled water is the reliable method to lower. True enough. True enough. Aquarium Cop has done it again, and I just posted. There it is. He's He's nickel diming us to death, guys. 99 cents a pop. You do make it fun, Aquarium Cup. Let's see, Petroman, I have 0 KH in my discus tanks. That's how I keep my pH at 6.2 at 80 parts per million. Works great for me, and they're always laying eggs. Sure enough, absolutely right. And the only really effective way to get that is to use RO water, distilled water, rainwater, soft acid water. Uh-oh. He caught me. He caught me. $1.49. All right. You were checking on me, weren't you there, Aquarium Cup? Just checking up on me. Ha ha. Never let it be said. Domestic use RO water only had GH minerals back in. Aquatic Conquest. Turns out the equipment I had was faulty, so I got false readings. Ha! Well, that happens, doesn't it? Roxanne, AP High pH Test Kit. I used that too, Roxanne. Mark Hunter, thanks. All right. Aquatic Conquest. My tank is now stable, and I don't use it anymore. Petroman, wild or domestic? Mark Honert is asking. Petroman, and I don't know what he's referring to. Well, yeah, Million and Sons. You can reliably and accurately adjust pH by using distilled water, RO water, rainwater, spring water, water that has little or no mineral content. And you can adjust that. You can do it very carefully. You can adjust it scientifically. You can determine how much the pH drops based on the volume of water you're adding. Keep in mind that as you go down, it takes more volume to bring it down to another point. So you're going to be actually increasing the volume of water you put in each time in order to get it to where you want it. Did I say that right? Or did I say it backwards? Somebody else can figure it out. It's Monday, guys. Brains don't always work well on Monday. Zero buffer means pH will swing. If it's up, it will. Here's Aquarium Cop. He's coming here to show us his badge. There he is. Only minerals will harden your water. Cassie B, absolutely correct. Lisa uses baking soda, as do I. I like lime. Okay, we're doing it again here. What is this? Oh, it's a pretty girl with Aquarium Cup silver skull. Okay, Cassie B. I think you're pulling a Steven on us here. You're saying salt will make your water acidic. Salt will not make it acidic. It will not prevent it from becoming acidic because salt, pure sodium chloride, does not contain carbonates. So it doesn't prevent it from becoming acidic, but it won't make it acidic. Oh. All right. I think I got back as far. We certainly did a lengthy discussion here on pH. And I think that's very helpful. We need to make sure, Cassie B, we post a note. I did not set up this stream beforehand, so I'm going to have to go back in and change it. But yeah, we need to do that. Let's see. Mark Hundred says have a local discus dealer who acclimates them to local tapwater, tells people don't try messing with anything, treats like other fish other than temp. I'm with him. I'm with him, Mark. That's exactly what I do. When I sell fish to people locally, I tell them they can use their local water because that's what the fish are in and that's what they've been adapted to. So, yeah, agree absolutely. That's really the job of the local fish store for the average aquarist is to be able to sell those fish so that they can take them home and put them in the water that comes out of their tap or, for that matter, their well. There are always exceptions. I keep a few exceptions. I have some fish in soft acid water because they won't survive well otherwise. But I don't sell them to people who are going to be putting them in hard alkaline water. I sell them to people who know what they're getting into and who are prepared for it. So kudos to your local discus dealer, he's saying. Local pet shop, I assume. I have, let's see, quite a conquest talking about his gauges. They can freak you right straight out. Yeah, J. Rowe, make sure with the electronic test kits that you calibrate them. You may need to buy the calibration packet or at least calibrate it to something that is a known quantity. Fish and Tank Dicks, good morning. Stephen, I need to come up on stream and explain in detail tomorrow's topic. We're chasing the same question 100 times around the solutions and hoping for solutions that aren't there. Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think it's a matter of hammering it home. Stephen, let's plan on tomorrow if that works for you. That'll be delightful. I will post the link. Always post it first thing. Just come on right away. We'll get you up here. Cassie B, salt added for treatment should be removed. The water is drawn out of their cells with salt. Prolonged use of salt will kill fish. Petroman uses liquid test as opposed to strips. Yeah, I agree. The strips have a shelf life. And if any moisture gets in that little container, they're done. They're no more good. Uh, the liquid will last forever, and it works well. It's accurate. Um, I've always used it, and I like it. All right, we're gonna jump to the bottom here. We got Aquaman's $1.49 hot dog. I want to go over to StreamYard. Go to the bottom. Chubbs, good morning, Chubbs. Didn't say hello to you. Lee, I put salt in lukewarm water to soften the water so I can wash my eyes if they become sticky or I have an eyelash caught. I don't buy Uptrex for £5. Salt softens water. Just don't ever do it. There's also salt in your body. So putting salt in water to go in your eyes is bringing the water to a condition closer to your natural tears. Collect your tears and taste them. They're salty. The mythologies in all of this are a bit overwhelming. Lisa, I have to keep a log because I forget everything. Yeah, you can either do that, Lisa, or do what I do. I forget everything. That seems to work better for me. If I don't remember anything, then I got to go look it up and figure it out. And that seems to work better. Roxanne, different types of salt do different things. Not all salts do the same thing. It's absolutely right. Some salt has one stuff, some salt has other stuff. You got to know what stuff's in your salt. We are the shoal. We are the shoal. We got another 99-cent aquarium cop sticker there, which I've lost. Nice life hack, Lee. All right. Lord Chubbs. AC, you're rocking today. Buds, coins, and variety. What's happening? Well, little late to go over it. You'll have to catch up at the other end, Buds, but nice to have you here. We're about ready to give it up. The 10 o'clock crowd is in. What do we got here? A rope fish. We have aquarium cups of rope fish. All right, what else has it got? There's a biker or two or three. Sponge filter. Is that albino? Who looks albino? So there's the other sticker. Manage. Stephen says we all list our methods at once. Then it's chaos. That's exactly right. Everybody chimes in at once. Well, you get to pick and choose. Pretty gold. You've got gold. That's not the same tank. Is that the same tank? Come on now. You got a fancy gold? No, you don't. Okay. Nice. You had me gone there for a minute. There they are. They're the denizens. Million and Sons. I'll rewatch this from the beginning as I missed the first chunk where all that may have been discussed. It was discussed throughout with as many different opinions and ideas as there were minutes in the stream. Let's see, Million. No one is questioning whether or not driftwood sphagnum or demineralized water is the solution. What's being asked is the process by which these things are used, not what is used. Hope that clarifies. Well, that's good. That's a good point. Agreed. The low sky. Hi, low sky. The 10 o'clock crowd is in, guys. We need to, you know what? We did. We need to jump over to, how do I do this? Here we go. Oh, I can't do it there. Oh. All right, guys. Wonderful day today. We had a lot of fun. We went kind of crazy. We're saying goodbye.
Love you, Father Fish.
Bye-bye. Bye, Aquarium Cop. Thank
Love you,
you.
brother. Love you, brother.
Love you too. Appreciate you. See you in the morning, Steven. Thank you, Aquarium Cop. I'm right. That'll do just fine. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you, Aquarium Cop. Thank you, everybody. See you in the morning.
Have fun,
All right.
everybody. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.